Well, our beloveds, we think we want to take a different path or offer a different process for maybe a month and see how that resonates with the listeners. We are thinking of grace, gratitude, and forgiveness, a series of moving through those traumas and tribulations in finding a way out the other end to help many of you to process those difficult emotions and offer a path on how to get there in your own timing. Our Another has done a deep naval dive for 3 years and is in her own way ready to move into the forgiveness phase with certain individuals. It is based on a form of reciprocity in her instance, but need not be offered in your own experience. So today we will focus specifically on the grace message that we wish to impart upon you all. Our Another has no idea what is coming. We're not even offering her the vibrational imprint of the message, so it will be simply the words as it comes through her. So listen very carefully. Grace is not what you offer anyone else other than you. Grace begins with you. When you feel shamed or when you feel retribution is knocking at your door or some negative consequence of actions which occurred, whether you were involved as in causing it or others did and you were caught in the crossfire and you feel frustration and anger at the event itself, which is separate from the perpetrator, you will naturally feel some sense of guilt or responsibility, or what we will call the what if. What if I had not been there? What if I had made different choices or decisions? The what ifs can cause so much destruction within your own heart, within your own chakras, within your own energetic imprint. And because you then hold that grief and that substance, the emotions turn into substance within your own energy or energetic and physical and emotional and psychological and spiritual and etheric body. You carry so much grief and resistance that it causes a shutting down of the flow of your energy. And when you hold that vibration for too long, it will take up residence within your body. So notice when somebody pulls in front of you while you are driving, how easily are you able to move past such an experience? Are you still mulling it over weeks later? Or have you moved past it 30 minutes later? That will give you an idea of how long you hold on to things that cause anger or frustration. So when you cannot let go of that underlying emotion or resentment, it not only goes to forgiveness of what the other person did, but just a resentment within your own energetic body. Now, Our Another cannot figure out for the life of her how this has anything to do with grace, And so for the rest of you who are also wondering, just sit and listen. We will get you there. But we need to create an understanding of what this looks like within your body. When something happens, something negative, something bad, you will either blame yourself or just hold a resentment for what happened and the what if. The what if will kill you almost every time, because then you feel the responsibility for what happened and it was never yours. So if you just trust that the universe has a plan and that event had a purpose, whether you chose it or caused it or not. For example, if you run a red light and you hit another car and you kill that individual, well, then you will feel that you literally caused it. But what if you are driving through an intersection and somebody runs a red light and kills the person who's in the car with you? Well, there's a different what if that you play out there, because you didn't cause the accident, but then you think, what if I had been driving a little slower or a little faster or had taken a different path? You still carry the what if within you. But the what if is not helpful, as you know. And so we ask you to suspend your disbelief for just a moment and assume that everything is playing out exactly as it is meant to, that the script writers place that particular event or events into your life. If you can agree with that aspect, then the grace that you can offer yourself is easier to align with, because you don't feel like you or anyone else caused this in the energetic, emotional space, that it was just an event that occurred and played out as it did. And if you can find some substance, some relief in recognizing that the other person, more often than not, is also going through this grace phase. How do I find grace for that which I caused? If you recognize that you are energetically connected or imprinted with this other person's experience, that as you offer yourself grace, that you ease those connections and that you don't continue that karmic dance that creates more of the same, which is resistance and dis-ease. A disease is just dis-ease within your energetic body imprint. So that is where we wish to go today, with grace, because when you are unable to offer yourself or just the world at large grace, then you are in a place of dis-ease within your own energy body. Now, we will never say you need to offer grace, otherwise you will get sick, because that is an unfair, unkind statement, and we will not blame you. But we can say that resistance to this mindset will just create an energetic imprint within your body. But to force yourself to feel something when you don't actually feel it actually creates more resentment, more resistance, and more dis-ease. So the point and the objective here is to allow your physical, emotional, psychological, and energetic body to move through this process where you do not deny your emotions, you do not reject your emotions, you do not force yourself to feel emotions that are not authentically yours, but we also encourage you not to get stuck in those emotions, which means you don't feed them. If you have a bear that wanders through the neighborhood, you are not doing anything to create that experience. It is merely a bear wandering from point A to point B. You can observe that there is a bear. You can observe the feelings that you have, the worry and the fear in most instances. But if you begin to feed the bear, he will now make up residence in your front porch. And then your fear may actually grow, because now how do you leave when you have a bear there? Now we're assuming that you don't create a friendship with the bear or a harmonious relationship. That is a different storyline. So what we're encouraging you to understand is to allow life to play out and the emotions that come up to really feel them. And when you feel them and honor them, acknowledge them, and even speak of them to others, whether it is in a safe space or whether it is directly confronting the individual who is creating this set of resistance experiences within your life. Allow yourself to migrate through the various emotions that come with the experience. And then self-reflection is important. Look at yourself and say, wow, I'm really, really upset. Now, why am I so upset? Oh, because that individual caused me to lose somebody who I loved in my life. And but for them doing that, I would have a continual experience with this person. So yeah, I can understand why I'm so raging angry, because this person took from me something whom I loved. But I can't change it. So how can I take this experience and create a path for myself forward so I don't get lost in this, but I also don't deny or negate the feelings that I have, which is I am really sad because this individual took something precious from me. So as you work through that and figure out the best way forward for you, hopefully with the help of a trained therapist who understands what this kind of trauma and grief looks like, to help you to find new coping mechanisms. And then 3, 5, 7, 9 years down the road, your life will look different. You will no longer be on the same path that you were on before, because your life has dramatically changed. But you are still moving forward. So are you lost in that experience? Or have you taken that and created it as an impetus to do something different, so that the pain inspires you to do something that you would not have done without that experience? Maybe you offer others who are suffering a similar trauma-felt experience your words of wisdom and acknowledgement of, I know what you're going through, and I will be here to hold your hand. I will pay it forward, because I can tell you that people in my life were not able to show up in a meaningful way. So don't expect them to. It's not going to happen, but I will be here, and I will be your sounding board, and I will be the person who gives voice to your emotions and tells you it is okay for you to feel rage and anger and neglected and abandoned and lost and all those other things that come up. We're trying to encourage people to really feel what they're feeling, so you can offer yourself the grace to move on in a manner, on a path, with a methodology that works for you all. Now, granted, we're offering a large example here, which many of you have not gone through. But what is it in your day-to-day life issues where you're not offering yourself grace because you're stuck in the negative emotion where you are unable to productively live and find purpose and trust that you will find a new way forward. Losses come in many, many forms. For some, it can be the loss of a beloved pet. For another, it can be the loss of an amazing friendship that you had many, many years, but where the person just all of a sudden turns around and walks away and says, I don't wish to be your friend anymore. It can be financial loss, where you lose your home, either to a financial circumstance or to a fire or some kind of other natural disaster. It can be a nasty divorce where there's just a lot of pain and suffering involved. It can be the loss of a child. It can be the loss of a dream where you were going to build a future on something and then you become disabled and you're unable to do that. Or one of your children becomes disabled, or a parent becomes disabled, and you are now going to be tending to other people's needs, or just having difficulty or struggling with tending to your own. But if you get lost in the bitterness of that experience, thinking that your life is over, instead of recognizing that it is a reset of sorts for you to come back to center, to ground, to reassess and figure out what you can do now to go forward to be the best version of you. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Well, oftentimes it means you sit in the grief and you deal with the loss and you get angry at God or the universe or whomever it is that you believe in. And you acknowledge that people, when you are in moments of grief, they don't show up for you because they don't know how to, because you all have not been taught to do this. Life is supposed to be easy and smooth. And if your life is difficult, well, I don't have the coping skills, so I think I'm just going to mosey on away and go find some other people who are happy and delightful to be around, right? But once you have gone through your own dark night of the soul, you will hopefully grow compassion and empathy and some collaborative skills so that you can help others get through such difficult moments because you had to figure it out on your own. And you don't want others to have to figure it out on their own. So you show up as a life mentor, as a life coach, as a shoulder to cry on, as somebody who says, I will walk beside you, and I will hold your hand, and I will show you that it will be okay. It may take years, but I won't abandon you. The universe has not left you. This is just one of those things that you can't really explain, and you just have to get through, and get through what you will, because I am here to help you. That is how, when you move through grace, you can then also share your experience of how to find that grace and share it with others in a helpful, loving way. But we know there will be many, many more questions, and we will now offer the grace, the gratitude, and the forgiveness series. But today it was just simply on what is grace. And grace is what you offer yourself. And forgiveness will follow when and if it is ready. But we can tell you that the forgiveness is built upon gratitude for all of the blessings that you feel in your life and your appreciation for where you are at. That is the bridge to get from grace to forgiveness And if you don't get to forgiveness, that is okay, because the grace and the gratitude will offer your body the vibrational shift to move you from dis-ease back into contentment and appreciation and gratitude and affirmations of the universe has your back and will provide and protect you exactly as needed. And so it is. Namaste.